Well, hello, nerds from around the world. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I could not be more excited to introduce our guest. And without any further delay, because we have so much to talk about, ladies, gentlemen, and everywhere around the world, please welcome Ali Farha to the Future of Games. Ali, welcome
Hello.
to the party.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm really excited. I was enjoying the music before the backstage. Then I got a notification that you have an event. I was like, should I join? Then I remembered, oh shit, I'm a speaker. I'm really excited to be here. And the topic is, man, I love talking about production, like I can't believe it's gonna be. Is it 1 hour? Yeah, I guess 1 hour, or is it half?
We schedule it for half, but we can run
Half,
it for the
half.
full hour or 45
Ha-
or however long we want. If there's still questions coming in, I set aside the whole hour because I just love talking to you, brother.
Same. So yeah, let's. Shall we do around the table, or we just kick in
Well, if you want to
questions? Or
introduce yourself, people here probably listen to me talk too much
yeah,
already. So everybody
yeah.
knows, well, maybe knows me, but Ali, who are you and what are we doing today?
Besides spamming your LinkedIn feed, sorry about that. I'm a senior producer at Star Stable Entertainment, which is MMO game company for girls. It's horse game for girls. It's super nice. We have been around for 12 years. I have 4 teams, around 40 people building technology for the entire company. We have our own engine, editor, scripting language, server architect. Super cool to have 12 years product and you have the technology yourself. So yeah, this is what I'm doing right now. And beside my full-time job, I'm a board member at 2 gaming schools and I teach and mentor. And because people are joining this, so they are giving us time from their, finished work. If you're CET in Europe, I have some really exciting news for everyone listening who want to become a game producer. And it's one of a kind, but this will only happen at the end of the event. So they need to wait. Yeah, I know it's a cheap trick, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
I don't know if I would call it a cheap trick. It's a good one. We know that one. It's an
It
effective one.
works. It works.
So, a couple things for everybody in the audience. We've got on the far that side of the screen, you'll see chat overlay this time around. We are
Okay.
anticipating a little bit more in the way of chat than maybe we may ordinarily have. So,
Mm.
questions, comments, you can see them all right there. This is the first time we've done a very specific, very role focused conversation. In this case, it's
Mm.
about game development. So,
Yep.
you're gonna have a lot of questions. I'll still highlight them on screen as you may have seen in the past. It would look like this. Carlos Caveira says classic trick.
It is
And
plastic.
you're not wrong, Carlos. You're not
You're
wrong.
not.
So, with that said, folks, as we're going, largely, Ali, I might be talking a little bit. Please don't hold back questions, comments. I'll put them up on screen. That doesn't
Yep.
change our conversation or anything like that in terms of
Yeah.
stopping whatever the topic was. I just want to make sure everybody who wants to say something is seen here today. So, with that said, Ali, what does a game producer do?
According to my wife, I play games. So I failed. Like it's kind of weird position. I shouldn't be saying that because I failed to explain to wife what I'm doing. She's a pharmacist. I say hi to her because she might see the recording after. So they asked her what your husband does for a living. I don't know. He plays games. They pay him really well because she didn't want to bother explaining. So let's see if I can do better job explaining to you guys what does a game producer does. I have been interviewing producers last few years. I went to a room with my fellow producers at my company to write a description of the role. We failed miserably. We failed to explain our role. Why is that? Why this role is so weird to explain because it varies, it differs. Companies look at producers differently. Teams as inside the company look at the producers differently. The company size, where are you even located? Imagine that the country determine how you look at the producer. It sounds weird, right?
Well,
Couldn't be weirder. I'm just gonna give you a quick example before diving into the role. Let's start with the title. Okay, executive producer sounds, it's high in rank up. It is high role.
Fancy.
My manager,
Yeah.
she's the executive producer. I say hi to her, and salary discussion soon. So please take care of that. I take every chance to negotiate salary. Anyway, so now I'm actually scared if she's here. That's gonna be weird. anyway, anyway, EP or executive producer, it's high rank. This is my dream. Everyone passionate about. So producer, senior producer, experience or experienced senior, lead, executive. In the gaming industry, in the producer role, you might be going from EP, executive, to associate.
Mm,
Even though at my company, a lot of companies, associate is someone entry level helping senior producers. I have to associate at my company. But why is that? Because companies in Japan, massive in Stockholm or Ubisoft, associate is actually high rank. They report to VP. So even there's
oh,
a limitation in title.
interesting.
So you see someone with EP quitting or changing jobs and going associate. It's like you're going like imagine like you see a principal engineer or programmer going to junior something. It sound weird. So this is how weird the role is. This is how weird the titles are in this role. But to tell you what a producer does, let me tell you, we need to understand a couple of concepts, and then I'm gonna hopefully draw the picture. So you'll be a bit confused here, all of you, but if you follow me, hopefully I will manage to and explain this. So we know project manager. Project management is someone follow a schedule, timeline, deliveries, budget. And if there's a risk, it need to be highlighted, and that's it. So basically, someone tasks you to build this project. It's not you have decided to do it. Just tasked to build this exact project, and you
Mm,
give the budget and the resource in terms of tools or whatever, plus people. And you need to make sure that you deliver on the milestones and communicate any risks to whoever your stakeholders. So that's project management. Then we have a product management, not a project, product management. It's the one deciding what needs to be built, what features we need to do, what mode we need to add to our game, looking at the market, doing the market research, putting the vision for that, or if it's ongoing process, improve, add things. So this is the one visionary market. It really depends because sometimes you have the the role differs between if you're in production, if you're in content, if you are in publishing. But let's take it more general. So, a product manager, the one visionary deciding what needs to be built. Then we have a product owner,
mm,
which is you own the backlog, you own what's currently being built and what needs to be built in the future. So we have those three circles: product owner, manager, project management. Producers is in between. The ratio, how it looks, it depends on the company, the maturity of the teams, the size of the company, where are you even located. So
mm,
some companies you will be more project manager, slightly product owner, little bit or nothing product. Some companies is the opposite. You're more visionary, high level, where you have
mm,
associate helping you to do the hands-on task. Some companies they want you to be super close to the team needs and helping them to be unblocked. So that's how the role located. What you're gonna be doing is in between those three major areas. But now, what is expected from a producer as a role? The most important part is to make sure the team delivers are aligned with the
mm,
company's vision. So the team has a vision, and your job is to make sure the team's delivery is aligned with or are aligned with this company vision. So this is one of the important aspects. So make sure the team knowing the vision, they have it translated. So this is also expected from the producer to translate the vision you received from the directors, from the stakeholders to your team, so they know what they are building. Priority, um, make sure they are, and like beside all of these, which is really important, the biggest element is to maximize the outcome of the team. There's like I say hi to Aaron and in this really lovely course, Building Better Games, and Benjamin. They're amazing people. It's the producers are multipliers. You have a team, and your job is to maximize the outcome of the team and the value they are producing without the need to work longer or harder, by just having a clear
Mhm.
vision, clear instruction, know what to focus on, and know when to shift focus, know how the priority looks like. So that's in a high level what expected from producer, and this is on a high level what project product owner manager looks like.
You know, Ali, I've been in tech for a long time, and it's really interesting to see how similar a lot of the roles are between,
Mhm.
say, consumer product or like
Yep.
say Apple, for example, somewhere I spent many of my years, um, and many of the gaming studios. And hearing when we really get into the nuts and bolts, like what you're sharing with us right now, which is just so amazing. And I hope both now and I have a feeling like this might be one of our more rewatched episodes because we're about to start talking about how to or whether to maybe even as
Mhm.
well look at game production as a pathway. A couple of interesting points around that. One, in all of the mentoring conversations that I've had with Amir Satvat's mentoring group, which, by the way, I'm just going to put that up here on the screen. You'll see in the top this direction a little QR code you can scan. That'll take you right to Amir Satvat's career page, and that gives you all those resources.
We say hi to Amir, by the way.
Let's all say hi to Amir, which is great. But here's the thing. That is by far the most requested, should I do this thing? And I think it's the curiosity and fascination with what goes into game production. Two, a lot of people maybe have project management experience, recent education or certification, or they've heard, hey, you could be in production in some capacity because they were sort of doing that thing. So I'm excited to unpack today with your impossible wealth of knowledge, Ali, what that means, how people can navigate their way into that space potentially, and then answer some questions. On that note, I do want to celebrate something really exciting. We just had Bush 1G say, "Hey, what's up?" Here's the thing, though. You may notice that little purple button there, as opposed to Nitesh saying his comment. This is our first comment coming in from Twitch ever in one of our
Oh,
streams. So
no way.
thank you to folks who are streaming live via Twitch. You can be on Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, obviously LinkedIn.
Wow.
So thanks
Wow.
for being our very first Twitch comment there, Bush1G.
We should celebrate this. I'm gonna frame it and put it like a background for a few days.
Yes, the echoes of the excellence.
Yeah, yeah.
Bush1G is like, I was just saying, hey, what's up? I didn't even know that was going to be
I
a
was like looking for like a stream of like Hell Divers too, and then he's like two guys talking. We say hi. It's like a Swedish studio. They're friends. They're like, yeah, welcome.
He's like, wow, this Pal World DLC is terrible. Look at these
Yeah.
graphics are wow. Well, on that note, we got a couple folks just saying hi and want to say, as always, to our good friend Thomas Woodhams.
Thomas.
Hello, Thomas. Thank you for joining us from across the pond. So good to see you. He also says, let's go.
That's Thomas. He's man. Thomas, just it's out of topic. Thomas is one of the most positive souls I've seen. I swear. He just comes to your comments, makes you smile, and goes away. He's just spreading happiness. And I just came from Dubai. And now he's practicing his Arabic with me since he came back. So I say, hey, salam.
Wow. That's amazing. So hello to Thomas. Hello to everyone that's here and part of this. We are going to get into questions in a minute. So everybody, please
Yeah.
queue up your questions. Once in a while, a couple quick things. Once in a while, the names and even the chat itself will sometimes get wiped. So you might not see your question. If you don't see us answering your question, please feel free to just jump in and ask it again, to make sure that that's something that we focus on, because the Q&A part here is really the end goal. Also, if
100%.
you
I mean,
see, you might see like LinkedIn user, sometimes LinkedIn anonymizes people's names. So just to kind of put that out there. So JP Isham says, Amir and the community are superb. I completely
100%.
agree with that one. Thank you
Yeah.
to Amir and everyone who's part of creating that momentum. But Ali, we'll just leave that one up on screen because that's some positivity. Let's dive in here ahead of questions, as I'm sure they're coming in. Um, if somebody were to be thinking about game production, and maybe they're from outside of industry, which is probably a decent percentage of people who are in our audience right now, what would you say would be some qualifying questions that you might ask somebody if they're saying, "Hey, should I get into game production?"
We need to understand that game production is completely different to a lot of different traditional products in terms of how fast, how stressed, the scale. Building games are it's super complex. We know that. I mean, we could argue. I've been working at Volkswagen, which is also super ultra complex, but the pace is a lot different. The go-to market is a lot chiller. We need to have that on my games. It's not the case. So in games, you have complexity plus fast or speed, and this is a weird combination. Plus, you're working with individuals are super ultra passionate about the product they're building, which is you never see. It's really uncommon in a lot of industries. Like in the gaming industry, you go to a studio, 90% people extremely passionate. They love, they play games. This is what they would like to talk about. This is what like they to spend their work day and after working hours doing. So this is the factors that will differ between any traditional industries and the gaming industry. So like scale, speed, and the nature of people you're gonna be working with. Uh, so you need to be ready to adjust these things because when you join the gaming industry, the it's going to be fast paced all the time. This it needs to be in mind. Uh, Plus, even though the gaming industry advanced in technology, we are far behind. Oh my God, they didn't quote me on this. We are far behind in a lot of processes. And now, John, you have
Oh,
been
yes.
in a massive companies. I have been in a company will be learning from Toyota, which those people have invented lean and those ways of working. But when you come to the gaming industry, it's a bit gut feeling, a bit weird decisions we're doing. So fast pace, large scale, complexity, a lot of passion, and a bit behind in some processes. So it's interesting, but that's what makes it fun, in my opinion. So every producer or someone want to join the gaming industry, if you're coming from super ultra organized ways of working, slower pace, this will be different. You will see a lot of missing matrices, a lot of missing tools, faster speed, complexity. Everyone is rushing. Everyone is passionate. Everyone's want to build the best feature from their side, not knowing when to scope. Scoping will be one of your biggest challenges. So this is what you're going to be encountering.
Scoping. A
Scoping.
word that if you hear that word, folks, and that doesn't like particularly strike a chord, it's one of the biggest words that you'll find in tech, any sort of product, anything, essentially referring to how realistic is what we're looking at, and or should we adapt it to perhaps be defined as a bigger amount of work versus the amount of resources assigned. It's like one of those small words that's more like a zip file of a trillion bytes of
100%.
data. I would absolutely, not only in my experience, Ellie, but in a recent conversation with actually some mutual friends that we probably have, Tarek and Sally over at Shruk Partners.
Yeah.
We were talking a little
Yes.
bit
Say hi to
about
them, both of them.
hello, y'all. JP also says, out of scope, LOL, my worst enemy. Yeah, okay, so we got somebody who clearly knows. We were talking a little bit about the role of AI in the current sort of meta of game production, and processes ended up being the core of that conversation around how now with AI driven productivity tools, even just scheduling and project management software like Motion, Notion, Trello, ClickUp, Effect, many of these are really starting to get smart. And it's maturing some of these processes at light speed, faster than I think some, or what it sounds like, some studios are even ready for. But we've got some good questions coming in here, and I don't want to take any time with my own rambling. Let's go to Thomas's question first, as it was asked first. I'm going to take down our little banner that simply says these opinions shared are only those of those sharing them and not any of our current or future employers. Okay. Thomas says, to help job seekers, is there anything people should be skilling? Great question. Or looking out for in the coming months? What is a hot tech or skill on the rise at the moment? Ooh.
Wow, that's actually a tough question. If you're a product manager or product owner or someone have this around this and want to join the gaming industry, there's a couple of actually really good resources for AI in and product management. So this is a good combination for AAA studios or studios advancing in AI. So that's what makes you a bit more attractive. But I would like to take one step back because what really helped me that I did half-year game design course with Michigan University, so showing that you know what a game building a game means and looks like, even though you're not going to be building game yourself because you're not an individual contributor, but then you understand games go through multiple stages from like conceptions or like with game design document to prototype to shipping a game. I mean, you're not going to ship the game anywhere, but you can at least build with Unity to a certain platform or Unreal. So I would say you should definitely learn more about making a game. You can do game jams and, as a start. But if you are already there, you want to do something a bit more like advanced, AI and product management could be super interesting to look at. Other than that, I don't believe you should do anything else because whatever you're doing, completely applicable. Like seriously, if you are product manager, I don't believe you need to do anything. If you're project manager, I highly recommend doing any product management course because that's the umbrella. So if you're a project manager, you need to do product manager. And back to your point, Thomas, you need to identify what skills you're missing. So there's no solution fits everyone. If you're a product manager with years of experience already, you need to make a game. If you're a project manager who built a game, you need a product management skill set. So you need to identify what skill set you're missing, and the best way of doing so, reading job ads. It's kind of underrated because if you're a project manager, you look for project management in the gaming industry. Guess what? We don't name it project management, and this is the issue. And some people just like searching for something they think it's named this way. It's not. Some cases producers, some cases called development coordinators, development manager. It's just weird names. So read job ads. It's good for you to see what you're missing, to what the gaps in your skill set. It's good to see some job like opportunities that could be closer fit to you and you didn't even expect. And when you look at even bigger studios, they have positions you never even imagined that does exist. It's
Mhm.
super big, so they have certain like positions could be already well fit for you. You could be even like overqualified for it. So read job ads, identify the skill set you're missing, try to add that so you are more attractive to break in because it's not that easy.
So I have absolutely no additional knowledge to share on that, Ellie, because that is I'm learning alongside the audience here. I am excited to put a couple of resources on screen as we're going. I'm sort of pulling these up so people can hopefully take some items away. Ali
Okay.
mentioned a couple of potentially even free courses. This is one
Yes.
that came up last week in our game on with Gina and John. We were talking a little bit
Nice.
about like when it's time to go on a side quest, which is
Yes.
actually why I'm wearing this shirt,
Yeah.
which is all about sort of when to go out of gaming to make your way back into gaming, especially if you were
Yep.
laid off, right? And so this is a free course that's an extension of one that I happened to take alongside another person who was in that call, which is hilarious. It's Harvard. It's free. It's through edX. I had a phenomenal experience with the C550 course, which was just amazing and not about gaming, but just computer science. Second resource to put on screen is if you are already in industry or you want to be, you have zero experience, you have years of experience at Games for Love, which is a nonprofit that I work with. We always have games in development. You can come and work with amazing producers like Guillaume Habikos. You can come and do incredible things with our volunteer coordinator like B, Hamzai, all these awesome humans. And we're all just sort of putting stuff together, figuring it out, doing code jams, doing game jams, and ultimately helping kids in hospitals by putting video games in there. So you get experience, the kids get games, and everybody gets to feel great together. So those are just more resources to put on screen there. And I'll pull those down now so we can see.
Awesome. And
Lit-
actually after the podcast, I can put in the comments. I made a post about 10 resources. I've done half of them at least, and they're really great. All free. And
Hey.
seriously, like nowadays, people complain about learning. It's cheap, it's available, it's affordable. It's just like you just need to dedicate some time, and that's it.
I actually think there's more knowledge than we have the problem of too much knowledge, right? We're in
That
like
that's the issue right now. Now people start to be picky what kind of course I should do because they have 5, 10 free courses. But just start somewhere and try to continue. And don't start multiple things at once. This is also one of the issues.
big question coming in here, Hitesh. And this is a very subjective answer that we're going to end up giving here. Just to say this out loud, nowadays a lot of layoffs happen in the gaming industry. Really, hadn't noticed. Oh yeah, that's right. It's every day, and we're doing this kind of thing to help combat it. So
Sure,
Hitesh, so
sure.
glad you brought this up. How to choose a stable company for your next job switch. I have thoughts, Ali. What do you think?
I would say nowadays, I don't believe there is a company is safe because we have seen when it's all started, it was with certain companies. Some of us saw it coming. Some of us were like, I can see why this is happening. But then we saw big players and names. It was shocking. And when I saw certain names, because we cannot name, that's the issue when working in the industry because you have friends everywhere. When I saw certain names, then I got really concerned. Sorry, because I knew if that player did manage to really hold, yeah, I can see that. So it's gonna be really difficult. I really would look at the product they're building, at the numbers they are making. If it's a single product of multiple products, is Rani really safe? I cannot think of any, but it seems like you have something in mind.
Yeah, I have a this perspective comes from outside of games, and this is more from just tech as a whole, particularly in the startup set. I had a professor in one of my favorite professors, and while education itself is almost in question right now as to, and we have questions about that, which will be a nice segue in a minute. While education itself is being questioned as to what does that even mean anymore in a world where the half-life of your knowledge is about 9 to 12 months, meaning whatever you learn, it's applicable for between 9 and 12 months. I personally feel like things I'm learning, especially in the AI space, are that knowledge is relevant for about 12 minutes. So it's a brave new world that we're heading into right now. But anyway, one of my favorite professors did share something that once that has echoed in my mind for decades now, and that was essentially make sure that you're interviewing your boss. And that's not just a practical, here's the thing to do in this one specific conversation or set of conversations. For me, it's more of a philosophical approach to saying, hey, look at a role, look at your career through the lens of who it is that you're going to be counting on to support you and advocate for you. And our relationship with our direct supervisor is by far our most important relationship in most roles. Some 80% of roles, or 80% of those surveyed in the last couple of years said that. So to that end, to apply that here, I would say, look at the Glassdoor, look at the Google reviews, get the information that you can, and look at the decisions that have been made by the leadership team that's there. And that's where you might be able to get some signal on, look, you've got some studios that are thriving. They're out here, CEOs talking about record profits, and then 3 weeks later, they lay off 500 people. And then you have other studios who are talking about making ends meet. They got real scrappy and they didn't lay anybody off, but they're not posting these huge profits. Now, I know which one of those two studios I would rather work at, right? But here's the thing. The bigger the studio, the more likely they were part of that first group, because bigger pools of shareholders, bigger pools of stakeholders, more decentralized decision making, and it will largely be focused on profit. So if you want stability, I would you'll probably end up finding that sort of middle ground, middle-sized studio, 100 to 200 people, still has like a really clear ethical set of pillars, and doesn't necessarily it isn't quite as beholden to stakeholder and shareholder wills, if you will. Okay, just cycling through.
Actually, I just want to add.
Please,
That's
yes.
why I love discussion because it brings ideas. Beside everything we said, it's really difficult to confirm 100%. But what I would do now in LinkedIn, you can see when the company did scale. If the company scaled insanely high during COVID and they haven't done any round of layoffs, I would be a little bit scared because we need to discuss something that the layoffs right now is not related to the money that the games are making because the games are booming. The gaming industry is booming right now. And there's even more companies opening. So with time, hopefully things will be a lot easier. The issue is that was leadership decisions and scaling fast during COVID because the companies saw this profit increasing exponentially. So they scaled super fast, but now it backs to normal. So that's the why the layoffs is happening. So if the company scaled insanely high, or you see spike in scale, that means you're most likely, sadly, gonna see a layoff equivalent to the same spike.
Yeah, and the way that you can see that is if you go into on LinkedIn, you go into the company page for somebody, you go to the far
100%.
right insights,
Yes.
it'll show you total employee count over time.
Yep.
And you can zoom in and out there, and you can get really great signal on did they hire potentially unsustainably. You can also go on places like Crunchbase and others, but
Yeah. But this
I
is
think
the
the moral of the
easiest
story
way
is
to check quickly. Yeah.
research, right? Lucinda, oh, it's a great one for you, Ali. This is probably why a lot of folks are here. And we are, if you're still good, Ali, I know we're at the set time. If you're still good to go, I'm absolutely still good to rock and roll.
Yeah, we can extend. Sure.
Awesome.
Let's take all the questions at least.
Lucinda says, question for a student looking to get into game production, what would you say are the most important skills and technologies to spend time on? Thanks in advance.
For a student, so I assume that you do have like a high school level, or you did some bachelor in something. If you don't have any knowledge in if it's a game in skills and technology in general, so it's not in production. If it's in production, you need to have some sort of project management, product management. It could be Coursera course or a couple of books. You need to try to volunteer in Games for Love or any game jams or bigger scale startups. And you need to try hands on, because you cannot learn this except by hands on. Otherwise, it's like having CEO school. You need to have experience to learn production. In terms of technology, you need to be aware of all the tools that every product producer or product manager is using. We start from Trello. It's a smaller scale for game jam, but no one uses Trello. It's when it's a bigger scale, we use Jira and most likely Asana. So you need to be aware of this project management, large scale tools, and it's free up to 10 users. And a lot of people doesn't know that. Atlassian, and need to learn documentation.
Wow.
Yes, it is. Actually, now you can go to Jira and have like 10 license and start like play around, create tickets, manage backlog, practice. So that's something. So learn how to use uh, project management tools, and learn how to plan things. But the only way to do it is just by doing. And for you, you need to stay until the end, because you need to hear what I have to share after. So let's stop here answering this, and we can take it at the end of this event.
Thing of beauty. Thank you so much for your awesome question,
Okay.
Lucinda, and your conversation prompt. Thomas jumps back in real quick. He throws out a thanks. Both appreciate your time. Thanks for the shout out. Both amazing people. I'm going to say that both amazing people, both of those apply to Ali. Ali is two amazing people.
Too amazing.
JP asks, will PM certifications like Six Sigma, PMP, etc., add value in your eyes from applicants and give them advantage, at least in PM, meaning project
Project
manager, not
management.
product manager, going back
No,
style role.
exactly.
What do you think?
It definitely adds like more attractive, but if you have gaming experience, sadly, it will overweight that, because when you're a producer in the gaming industry, you'll understand that there's a lot of things is weird. You do hybrid things, you do things you didn't expect that you will be doing. So I would say it definitely helps, and maybe this is the step that you need to overcome or overweight the missing experience in the gaming industry. It helps, but it's not the silver bullet to get to the gaming industry. So I would rather someone showed and proven that they have put in extra effort to learn how to, with a small team, to build something, and your role as producer, that will be more valuable than having certificate. But it's definitely an extra point. But that's it. It's not like insane advantage.
Not like to blow it out of the water. Like most
No.
education, it's a leading indicator of how you might perform.
Yeah, kind of like that. That's it.
Right?
Kind of, it is like that. True.
Andre Castro asks, after you start working on what you used to do as a hobby, is it still something that's great for you? Best regards. Ooh, there's a lot of ways we can interpret that. How do you hear that? And what do you think about that question, Ali?
After you start working on what you used to do as a hobby, it's still something great for you.
When passion
Man,
becomes
this
profession.
man, man, this role is the most exciting and fun role ever. If I stay here a little bit more, I'm gonna convince everyone in this listening to us to become producers. It's so fun. It's literally you're sitting down and everyone is running left and right. You're needed in five places at once. Stuff is burning in live. I enjoy it. And if you're looking for calm environment, this role might be not for you. If you really want to solve problem and lead not by authority, and I actually need to add something here. As a producer, in most of the companies, you're not the manager. You know
Mm.
that? Producer is a leader role. It's a leadership role, but you're not the manager of the people. You don't have the manager authority. But then you need to lead by example, which is, I believe, an extra level of challenge and fun to it. The role is super fun. If you like to solve problems, to lead a team to achieve something, when you deliver that achievement, you will be satisfied, you will be proud. When things go to the other way, to shithole, you'll be the one to take all the blame and the hit, which is really expected. So when things goes well, it's the team. When things goes bad, it's you. So I believe it's super exciting. It's super cool role. I'm enjoying it before and after, and I will keep enjoying it.
It's
Hopefully
like
that answered your
wow,
question.
hardcore mode. I love it.
It
I love
is,
it.
it is like that, to be honest. I'm just trying to be honest here.
You know, it's interesting. We were before we go on to we have some great comments from Ken, Lucinda, JP, Ken again. One thing that's really interesting is get to sit on a panel on AI and careers last week, and this is one of the first in person ones I've gotten to do in a while. It was really exciting. Highly recommend, by the way, anybody who can get to gaming conventions as a part of this exploration, or even like your intentional move toward these roles. If it's within the realm of possibility for you, for geography, for your finances, all those things, it's hard to beat what you get out of being in the room, even in
Yes,
this era of digital, even us here on screen doing this thing remotely.
100%.
If you can go. Anyway, had a really great set of questions about, again, AI, of course, but also what does that mean for games and the roles in games. And it's really interesting. If you look at what's going on right now, take Trello, for example. Trello is a project management and or productivity software that I've used. It's an Atlassian product like Jira and Confluence. Um, and I love it. It's right in that sweet spot in the middle ground. It's not crazy, like highly technical like a Jira, and it's not quite as sort of like basic as some of the things or other software that's kind of drag and drop. It has a lot of integrations. You can do custom boards. You can actually add automations, which is fun. Anyway, what's really intriguing about it is you've got scoreboards. And this is another example of how gamification, what we're playing with here, what we're actually creating is games. And in a lot of ways, you could almost say gamification is just making stuff fun and trackable and having points that you can say, I did X. And so I feel that and I can see that. And software now, especially, and you think about how meta this goes, Ali, you're talking about using productivity software that's gamified to create games in an industry that is games. And so it's like multiple layers of, if you like games, come and play games, except your
I mean,
game is
even our workshops, when we use Miro, which is also causing
mm,
issues with my wife, her job is completely drier than mine. She see what kind of workshops we prepare for retro. It's colorful, it's Mario Kart. So of course, I mean, you need to create this fun environment so everyone can strive. And this is also a producer. You need to make sure that everyone is challenged to the right amount. Everyone is excited about showing up for work.
mm.
At the same time, back to my point, you're not their manager, which is, I believe, it's as extra level of challenge. But really, really good question. Producer role, if you love to be challenged, this is the role. This is the role that you should be choosing.
So here's a question or a comment from Ken as a follow on, and then a couple of follow on to talk about that. Ken says, Lucinda, skills, project management 101 for games, look into agile, Scrum, and Kanban, traditional waterfall methodologies and technologies, spreadsheets, Excel, Google Sheets, industry standard PJM tools or PM tools like Jira, Asana, Trello, etc. Phenomenal. Lucinda, of course, responds, and currently a student at university, acting as a producer for a group project. Boy, I can't think anything better to be doing, right? Like, how great is that?
Wholesome. I wish I had just an opening for you so you can apply. Then it's gonna be the complete.
Soon.
But thank you so much, Ken. Like what he wrote, I'm pretty sure he's from the industry because what he named is basically all the methodologies, from Agile, from Scrum, from whatever he mentioned is basically it's a what I call it, the major skill set that you need to have, of course. And sometimes, thanks for the like, when you are in the industry, you forget what makes sense for you could be like someone doesn't really know. And I can see Ryan. Ryan is a friend, and Ryan, he's one of the best product manager I had the pleasure to work with. So hi Ryan, and you should definitely follow Ryan. He is super knowledgeable, and he's a senior producer at Avalanche, a sister company of ours, Star Stable.
I love that. Live in chaos, strive for greatness.
You see
That
that
is.
that's how we can tell. It
Um,
is literally like that, yeah.
as we went, I was just throwing up some of additionally Ken's great comments. Everyone can see these in the living conversation that happens after this. We can all add comments, we can react to, so on and so forth. Um, Another great question. Amir asks, with the layoff trend currently hot, how should a student tackle or handle the stronger competition pool now with so many good candidates waiting in line for their next job opportunity? Of course, this is a question that applies to all industry, but what do you think
Wow,
about that for game production?
yeah, cracking the game industry is difficult in itself. In a sunny day when no layoffs, just for me it took me 4 years because I didn't get help from outside the gaming industry. But now you are competing with elite people sometimes. Literally, you're competing with people, veterans, know what they're doing. So how you can stand out? As a student, you need to take every day super seriously,
Hmm.
because back in the days you felt like I can push a bit, rest a bit. Now it's not the case anymore. At the same time, you need to do that in respectful manner, so don't burn out yourself. But right now, the competition is real. At the same time, you're not competing to senior roles, so you shouldn't be worried way too much. You are Internship is your key, basically. So I don't believe you should be worried way too much, but you should take your lectures, your task, your everything super serious. On top of that, some extras are expected because now the situation is difficult. I highly recommend building a network, because in my case, I was building my network, but I didn't use it to join the gaming industry. So now, Amir, you know me. You say, "Hey, Ali, I'm interested in Star Stable. I saw this internship role. I can have your application in front of the hiring manager in 2 seconds." We know that when you are internally. But when
Hmm.
you put that in an open application, there's thousands of applications. We use outsourcing company, maybe some AI tools. Yeah, good luck with that. So what I would say, take your stuff super seriously, take your portfolio super seriously, and build a good network that can help you to stand out. So this is the only way to stand out, by having really good portfolio. Show that you need to take an extra step in every course and every delivery you're doing, and a good network. That's the only things I can have in mind right now to stand out from the competition. At the same time, I believe you're safe because everyone competing for mid-level, senior.
Ollie, there's a thought process that is definitely not a new topic here. It's been shared for many, many years, which is when you're searching for a job, it is your job, right? Which translates to a lot of things, like if you're spending less than X amount of time on the job search, it's going to take you that much longer. So it's a 40-hour a week job, some people will say. I'm not necessarily aligning with that, but this is a really unique scenario because we're talking about a very specific set of roles that are all about organization, time tracking, productivity, budgeting, and you could almost apply that to your actual job search. And so there's a way, I think, to think about using some of these softwares, like the free Jira license, for example, though that's corporate,
100%.
right? Like run your career search like you were producing a game, except
You
the
said
game you're producing
something.
is
You
your
said
career.
something. Actually, I tell that to my students. People wait until they got the role or the position, then they start act like that. You can be a project manager and producer for your life right now as we speak. You can use Notion and Power System to track your notes, track your projects. So you need to act as a producer to be a producer. Yeah, and some people wait for the senior role to act as a senior. It's the opposite. You do senior task, then you get the senior title. That's the mindset you need to have always,
Mm.
because senior increase your like responsibility, by you need to mentor some people, or you need to drive initiative by yourself. What you do, you drive initiative by yourself. You mentor people. Oh, now you're senior. You get the title. So don't wait this things to happen to do it. Do it so it happens. So thank you for it's a really good point. And use Notion. And by the way, Ryan, who said hi, he is one of the best I've seen in Notion. He's super good with Notion. So Ryan for Notion, and Ryan for product management, and Ryan for producer.
When is Ryan going to come on and do a Notion clinic with us? That's my
Actually,
question.
more than we had a pizza. Thanks for the pizza, Ryan. It was really good. We can actually come, me and Ryan, and talk about productivity, because me and Ryan, we had like hours of just talking about our productivity system. Because some people ask me like how you are having 40 people board at two schools, teaching, mentor, family, play games. Just be organized. Just have a system to track things with Notion, Todoist. And I'm more than happy, me and Ryan, to show you the whole trick, because I believe this will make you superhumans when you're in this role. You need to act like a producer to be a producer. Oh, thank you so much. I really like that praise from Ken.
So we've got some really great, very specific, pointed questions coming in right now. I think we
Mhm.
can see. Okay, you can see all on screen down to like one character, which is great. I have indie dev production experience and AAA quality assurance experience as an analyst, but I can't seem to get over the hump for a AAA production gig. Any recommendations for bridging the gap from QA or indie development to associate production, which was one of those roles that you talked about that has kind of an ambiguous leveling, right?
Yeah. My biggest tip for you, you need to have a QA lead, because that was my journey. Like I'm not just telling, was literally my journey. Because when you have a lead title, QA is one of this, like, everyone, I used to work with the QA, I was proud of that. Everyone works with the QA, kudos to you, because this industry without you means nothing. QA is someone who sees the full picture, at the same time have the ability to dive in details, at the same time super open-minded for communications, pushing the limits, feel uncomfortable being under the spotlight. So there's a lot of characteristic around the role, makes this role super attractive for to be a producer, like producer's material. So I've seen this many times. QA lead, QA engineers becoming producers. What you need is the lead. This is what you're missing. So being QA, we need a lead QA. Show me that you have led even one or two people. You led the process. If you can show that, I don't believe it's really hard to go to associate at all. Beside all this, build some knowledge in project or product management, learning about Scrum, planning, these things. But I don't believe this is like really difficult. So it's super doable, actually. Super doable. Just go for lead, I would say. This is like not that hard.
That's probably the best news someone's going to hear.
I
Travis
hope so.
also comes in alongside Ken with some really great insights. My experience has been knowing agile is good, but trying to apply it everywhere might not make the most sense. Understanding other methodologies like waterfall can be just as useful. Don't fall into the trap of trying to find or use a one size fits all solution.
What Travis said right now, it is what I was trying to tell every student in when they do project management, because some people see something, or I'm gonna do this by book. Man, this is insane. Why you do things by book? Do what works for you. And some companies claim, oh, we are 100% Scrum. You're not. You're waterfall with Kanban, and we have a name. It's called. Uh, if any product manager here can, what's like merging Kanban and Scrum? Yeah, there's like a word. It's like I don't have it in mind. It's so fun. So basically, do what works for your team. So in my team, I'm really proud of that. In one of my teams, it's a hybrid between Kanban and Scrum. Some of the teams is closer to Scrum, but we don't do estimations. So do what works for you. Don't try to apply it by book. And waterfall is gonna always be there, even though it sounds ridiculous. It just takes time to finish steps. It's happening. AAA studios do waterfall because of multiple locations. Product is insanely big, and smaller team, they do waterfall on a smaller scale sometimes. So you will be doing it all. So try to understand on a high level what each one means. Go to your team and see what works for you and improve. Really good comment, Travis.
Carlos says, Ken, this is great to know. With recently having received a CSM certification, that's great.
Congrats.
Second tag on there, a lot of the industry producers come from QA. Hey, there you
Yes,
go. And tend to be very
100%.
focused, test driven as a result. That's huge.
And building with the quality mindset, because as a producer, your job is to maximize delivery at the same time with high quality. So yeah, 100% agree.
And here we go. This actually goes right to the core. You won't be able to see the whole comment on screen featured, but you will on the top, that side. Interestingly enough, this goes right to the sort of impetus for our call today. So thank you for underscoring this,
Yeah.
which is a lot of people looking at pivoting from project management, which is, I would honestly say, having worked on leveling and mobility at these big, Fortune 5 companies like Apple and Amazon, mobility and leveling basically are, how do you define a role? How do you say, here's what level it is? What means compensation by region? And then how do you identify mobility, meaning what can you do to go between these things? Super important for retention, super important for all things organizational design. And now with this I think is one of those where you look at project management and the fungible skills, meaning skills that you can take from one place and apply them to another, not to be confused with non-fungible tokens or NFTs. But this is I believe project management is probably the highest fungibility role out there.
100%.
For better or worse, right? Having too many options is sometimes rough. But to Ken's point, speaking from, again, outside in, if you are outside and you want to get in, I would strongly consider focusing on PM certifications like PMP or others. This is a big question for you, Ali, and one that could be its own call. And Matt, in just these few short words, probably created 45 minutes of conversation.
Wow.
What would a portfolio look like for a producer?
That's really good question. I mean, it's not that hard to answer, actually. If you're a QA lead or producer, it's really hard to show your work because it's not tangible. It's not like ArtStation if you're an artist. It's not like animation or as well, or a GitHub if you're a programmer. What I'm interested in, you need to show me a project. How did you actually tackle that project? Show me the steps, the process. Explain to me what kind of the structure of your meetings, planning, how it looks like. And what I'm really interested in, tell me how you solved a complicated issue in your delivery. What kind of issues you faced and how you managed to tackle that one. So basically, you need to tell a challenge you have solved, walk me through a project, how you have dealt with all these major meetings, and what something else you have done customized for your team's need. Because we all us producers, we do something we have heard of or we have seen, but we do it in a way that matches our team's need, so it becomes something completely unique. So show me one of these things, and that's it. That's how you can show some portfolio. It will be maybe sometimes hard to visualize because you cannot, due to NDAs, you cannot show actual board, but you need to do some mock-ups. I haven't seen the need, like no one asked me for my portfolio. It's usually a discussion. Usually tell me how we do this meeting, how we do that, something like this. But a really good question.
I'm almost imagining a acting reel of you being basically you managing a timeline or running a scoping meeting or something like that. Doesn't quite translate, not perfectly anyway. Looks like we have a bunch of great follow-on comments here. Thank you again, Ken, Andre, for the great conversation. Viviana has a great tag on there as well. As a recruiter, I never saw a producer with a portfolio, but I'd love to see a collection of case studies. And
that's a really good point.
Right? And at the end of the day, what are we doing in our resume? We're talking about our claimables, right? And whether you're a leader in a management capacity, or you're a leader in the I manage projects, not necessarily people capacity, it's all about results, right? If you're putting bullet points on your resume, and this is as we segue into our kind of final thoughts, my 3 are absolutely focused on the very tactical. What do you do with all this? No matter who you are, you absolutely need to be documenting your successes, whether you are 16 years old and you're you're leading, like you're the 58% success rate for order delivery at the in and out that you work at as your first job for the first 3 months, that is something you need to write down. Like that is
It shows
information.
KPIs, right? It shows that you understand KPIs.
And it
Yeah,
shows that you
that's
like what matters, you count it, right? You measure
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's huge. Let's actually segue over to that, Ali. What are your final thoughts? We're coming into our last 5 minutes here. Let me rephrase that. Our last 5 minutes of the 30 that we extended from the 30 we scheduled. So
Yeah.
thank you to everybody for being here, and to you especially, Ali, for extending. What are your closing thoughts?
First of all, thank you so much, John, for the invitation. Really appreciate it. Always really fun to talk to you, and I feel like we need to do more of these. Thank everyone for showing up. So, producer role, it's really role hard to explain, but when you finally get the grasp of it, like what you're expected from you, it's by far one of the really super fun role. It's super crucial and important, and this is I encourage all the companies to invest in educating leaders, because it's a role usually come from different role, like from QA to producer or from project management to producer. So the experience is not there. You build experience as you go. So it's super important to invest in the knowledge of producer to build high like quality features, products. And what I was holding the whole time, to all the people who are here waiting, I have a good news for you. If you are not a producer in the gaming industry and you are dream to become a producer, first of its kind, a producer education at Future Games, 1 year and a half with an internship at one of the best companies.
Whoa.
And we're gonna have a strategic partnership with CD Projekt, and I will be the head of that course. It's gonna be late this year.
Whoa.
I cannot think of something more safer or like high success rate compared to actually doing this course, because you're going to be doing internship at really amazing companies around the globe. Plus you'll be doing building games with teams your whole education, so you're going to be building multiple games, managing different teams, hybrid, on-site, remote. So this is really
Wow.
exciting, and I'm so happy because I right now I'm so happy that I get chance to contribute to this. But imagine this project does exist during one of my time trying to break to the industry. Seriously, I cannot think of something. It's hard to say guarantee, but closer to guarantee compared to this.
Yeah, I
One
mean,
year
you have
and a
the
half.
education, the application, the network, right? The brand of CD Project Red, right? We've all probably played a
I,
couple
I,
hundred
can I
hours.
can I can I blow your mind? You don't go to the companies. Companies comes to you for internship.
What? And everybody should write that one down, right?
That's how it
Uh,
works at Future Games, TGA. Say hi to all the amazing schools. It's companies. We go to the school, speak to students, and see if we're matched, and we take them for half year internship. And most likely, companies keeps the students after. So, and in the worst case scenario, you have a half year production plus 1 year and a half education around the same production. So 2 years in total experience in making games as a producer. So if you're interested, please make sure to follow, connect with me, and I will be sharing more this in the future. And we're doing this exclusive news with John.
Hey, well, thank you for doing that here. Thank you mostly beyond all else, Ali, for not only your time here today, but for being instrumental in creating this thing. The kind of program that you're talking about here is not something that just pops up overnight. Like this is a huge amount of labor of
It,
love,
it, it,
right?
it, it, it took, I say hi to the team who actually did the heavy lifting. I cannot take any credits. I just like, I just arrived at the final when it was almost already.
Wow. Um, Incredible. You know, as we're going, I jotted down a couple of topics that people touched on just to throw out, like the recruiter, like the long-term recruiter.
Yeah.
Ali, you were mentioning about, you know, how sometimes it can be difficult to differentiate in a large pool, and sometimes you'll apply and the power of your network. I would recommend everyone, if you are going into LinkedIn and you're looking at a job and you see that, you know, in the last, it's been open for a week, there's more than 100 applicants, or if you're seeing more than 100 applicants a week, 100's general rule of thumb about what it takes to get to like one really great candidate. For the most part, it's very industry agnostic, but who knows. But if you're seeing that there's that kind of trajectory, I would strongly recommend only really taking your time to apply through a referral and possibly applying that to your entire job search, because the time you spend building the network that gets you into a referral scenario is probably going to add much more residual value and have compounding interest,
100%.
right?
100%.
Versus like, hey, look, I've done it. I've spent 3-4 days in a row, 8 hours a day, just hammering out resumes. And sometimes you're just throwing dust up in the wind and you're not doing anything.
It
Right.
is like that. So investing in building a good network, being here today, engaging with people in the comments, adding them, adding us, we add you back, we start talking. This is way more a good investment of your time in the long run. So thanks for adding this, John. I cannot agree more with this.
Oh, absolutely. And in chat, everybody, please, if you are open to networking, please network with each other, from JP to Ken to Lucinda to Malaika, which I believe means angel in Swahili. Thank you all. With that, we're going to go ahead and
Thank you
close it
all.
down. Appreciate you all. And thank you for being here, and hopefully see you again for another one.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Have a